Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Really glad to have this young lady on. Her name is Ashley. Is it Economou or Economou? How do you say your name?
It's Economou.
Economou. Well, there you go. I was wrong on both accounts. Listen, very, very nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us from California. You're a student at UC Berkeley, also a correspondent for campusreform.org. How are you?
I'm doing great. So happy to be here.
Yeah, really glad to have you on. No, is that a French name? What kind of name is that?
It's Greek.
Greek. Very nice. Economou.
Yes. You got it right.
Okay, good. Mine's Pagliarulo. I'm not going to make you say it. It's just Pags is fine. So UC Berkeley, and you're somebody who actually believes in the truth. You're somebody who doesn't lean left necessarily. You're a conservative person. How does that happen on the UC Berkeley campus? Did people know before you doing this with me? Did they know that you were conservative? And if so, are you in trouble because of that?
So I've always been outspoken on campus. That's never been an issue for me, but I have had a lot of backlash from students. Professors, I haven't gotten too much coming against me.
Right.
But I'm not super obvious about it in a class unless I can make a point about it. I haven't had any trouble with the school itself. I'm actually starting a Turning Point USA chapter at school. However,
Right.
they do keep losing our paperwork, so that's an issue.
Imagine that. How does that just happen to keep on happening? So Ashley, let me ask you about the professor stuff, though. But I've talked to some of your cohorts there at Campus Reform, also other young people in college who aren't working with you, and they say you really can't let the professor know that you're conservative. In fact, you have to give the right answers on the tests. If you give the actual factual answer, sometimes you might be in trouble. You sort of have to go with the flow. Are you finding that as well?
Yes, I do in some cases. In most cases, I try to say what I believe and what I feel is true
Right.
and give evidence to support that. But sometimes the professors' prompts don't even allow that. I was taking a crime and democracy class last semester, and every bit of evidence they gave us was all supporting BLM, critical race theory, and the prompts for all of our papers were, what does the evidence we gave you support? So you couldn't even try to put your own perspective on it because they gave you such a limited amount of room to use.
Isn't that interesting? So they literally said, we gave you the literature. You've got to answer the questions according to what we said, even if it's provably wrong, if you want to get a good grade.
Yes, it's absolutely insane. And as someone who has experience in the criminal justice system, I used to be a police cadet. I wasn't even allowed to voice my own opinions because it went against the literature.
That's amazing. It's Ashley Economou. Am I saying that right or not? Because I feel
You're doing
hesitant.
it perfectly.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Ashley, we appreciate you. Correspondent from campusreform.org. She's based at UC Berkeley, which is interesting. One last question about your education there. Are you doing it online? Are you going to class? Do you have to prove that you're vaxxed? Do you have to wear a mask? What's the story at UC Berkeley?
So last year it was completely online. This year they do say we are going back to campus. I'm supposed to move in a week from now, but we just received some information saying that their plans might change, that if professors are uncomfortable, we may end up going online again. But it's very much up in the air. I hope we're in person. I hope people stand up against it if we're not in person, because students deserve to be able to go to school.
100%. Go to campusreform.org. Find out more about her. Ashley, let me ask you about what's happening at Emory University. There's a workshop. Is Emory a public university or private? It's in Atlanta, right?
Emory is a private university, and it's also a Methodist university, which made me very...
Well, there you go. So it's a Christian university, yet they're promoting abortion advocacy. Fill me in.
Right. I was incredibly surprised that they're hosting the series of events that's teaching students about abortion advocacy, as well as they've also teamed up with Planned Parenthood to promote abortion-related knowledge. Now, to me, having Planned Parenthood tell you how healthy an abortion is like having McDonald's tell you how healthy a Big Mac is.
I mean, come on, man. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, so when somebody like you or somebody like me raises the question, hey, wait a second. Christianity is completely against killing the unborn child. Why are you having an advocacy group or a meeting here on campus when my kid or when I signed up to go here because I believe that you were gonna teach me, better higher learning based on Christian values? What do they say when people question this?
They just ignore it completely. They ignore their values. They say that it's not progressive enough, it's not woke enough. We need to be accepting of different perspectives, even if it is a Christian school. And now that we're seeing it in these Christian schools and these religious schools, I've seen many Catholic schools promoting transgender stuff, abortion, and that's completely against what they believe in because they want to fit in with the society. It's no longer about educating your kids. It's about catering to the woke left.
It's Ashley Economou. Go and follow her at campusreform.org. Are you on Twitter? Do you want to put out your Twitter or your Instagram or something?
Yes, on all my social media, I'm under Ashley R. Economou. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
And spell your last name for those who are listening on the radio.
It's spelled Economou.
Go find her and go follow her everywhere, and certainly go follow the reporting over at campusreform.org. I've got a contract to do what I do for a living, and I would be very unhappy if the people that promised they would pay me something decided they wouldn't pay me something. For some reason, the far left wing and progressives in this country don't think that contract law matters, loans that you take out matter. I guess I don't have to pay for school if I don't want to, but I still have to pay my car loan. I have to pay for my house loan. So the president now, the so-called president, I think he's being controlled by others, he's now extending federal student loan freezes. In other words, you don't have to pay anything back, and there's a big push to get rid of these loans completely. How long is this going to last, and what's the thought process behind it?
So this policy actually began during Trump's presidency, during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was supposed to help people out while they couldn't work. Well, now that's over. We should be getting back to work. I know California isn't, but we should be. Biden has now extended this policy through February 2022. Now, who's to say that will end then? Who's to say he won't forgive them completely before then? And this is just really encouraging students to get degrees in pointless majors and not worry about paying for any of it.
Well, what's interesting to me is that it used to be, now I went to college a long time ago, but I got a full scholarship. I was a musician. I played my saxophone in front of a board of jurors, and I was able to win that scholarship. There are plenty of people smarter than I who got academic scholarships. Great athletes are getting athletic scholarships. You work really hard and get a scholarship or a grant, or if you decide to go to school anyway, you pay for it, and you agree to pay for it. What do your compatriots there at school on campus say about loan forgiveness? Are they buying it? They might be because they're in California. Are they buying that you should sign on the dotted line, promise to pay something back, and then the government just says, don't worry about it?
Well, I'm also a scholarship student.
Good.
I didn't want to have debt in college, so I chose the school that gave me the best scholarship, and in-state tuition is so much cheaper than going out of state.
Smart.
And at school, those who have similar beliefs to me, those who are conservative, libertarian, do believe you should pay for it yourself. However, the more liberal kids at my school think that it's great for other people to pay for their education because they don't have the money right now, but then they're not putting enough initiative into their careers. They don't want it enough if they're not going to pay for it, and they should really go be doing something else.
I agree with you. Now, those students that think that it's okay for somebody else to pay for their education, once they get out and get a job where I'm hoping they're making enough money to live by, would they be okay? Maybe this is the question to ask them. Would you be okay, now that you have a job and you're making money in the real world, to give me a percentage of your pay to pay for my education? I'm guessing they might be hesitant.
Of course they'd say no. That's the money that they're working for and they're earning, and they don't want other people to take that away from them. So it makes me very confused as to why they'd be happy to have other people pay for it now. It's just like we've lost the total idea of personal responsibility in America.
And you over at campusreform.org have done stories where you've actually asked some students, how do you feel about socialism? The student says, I think it's great. And then you say, okay, you got an A on the test, I got an F. Let's both just take a C. And their answer is, why would I give you what I got? Why would I ever, lower what I've worked for to help you out? Maybe you didn't work as hard for it. And then you see the light bulb, go off. Young people like you are smart if they're told both sides, right?
Right, completely. And in all honesty, children in elementary and high school, they lean more conservative. If you give them a test monitoring their beliefs rather than a party, they will lean much more conservative and libertarian. It's all the indoctrination we get in school telling you free stuff is great. You don't have to worry about paying for things. That's turning these kids into leftists. That's not how we naturally are.
I think naturally you're right. We're fair. We're fair people. Human beings have a sense of fairness that I think is indoctrinated out of them by the time they go to college. But again, people in your age range are still open to the idea if they're getting both sides. This goes back to the professor that says, just give me the answers that I want. Don't give me the truthful answers. Hopefully we can get past that, and with great reporting like what you're doing, we certainly can. It's Ashley Economou. Am I saying it right? I am saying it right, yes?
Yes, you're saying it right.
By the end of this, I'm going to have it, Ashley. I'm telling you right now. One last story. She's at UC Berkeley. Berkeley instructor is saying Jews have been overwhelmingly abandoned by progressive activists. Wow, that's kind of interesting to tell the truth like that. Fill me in.
Yes, when his statement came out, I was honestly surprised that someone at my school would be saying something like this, especially a teacher. He wrote an article for the San Diego Tribune talking about how progressivism has gone so far that they're completely ignoring the Jewish community. And he's not by any means a conservative. He's very liberal in his article. It says that he marched for social justice last summer, and those people have completely abandoned the Jewish community and aren't sticking up for them.
Right.
He even points out that at San Diego State University, their Chabad house has had horrible violent attacks on the Jewish community, and no one is speaking up on the left.
What's interesting is I've never understood why American Jews are progressive or left at all, because you know that the left is full big time in support of what would be Palestine, and they hate Israel. It doesn't make any sense to me. Of course they're being attacked, because on campuses you can wave a Palestinian flag or even an ISIS flag and people will applaud you. You wave a flag of Israel or the American flag and you're in big trouble. So that is interesting that he would come out and say something like this, which happens to be verifiably true. When you talk to your friends on campus, when you do reporting for campusreform.org, are you finding more people are willing to speak up because we've gone so far left? It almost seems like that's the case, doesn't it?
I find that those within the Jewish community are starting to wake up to the fact that the left doesn't really have their best interests in heart.
Right.
However, when I posted during the Palestine and Israel conflict, when we were right in the heat of that, I got so many students telling me that I was awful for supporting Israel and it wasn't a stance that I should be taking. And a lot of the students there still don't understand that Israel is a country and it's a completely legitimate country, and they don't
Right.
want to accept that because of how the left has been portraying it. So I really wish more people would be waking up to this.
Hopefully that'll happen. It's Ashley Economou. She is a great reporter from campusreform.org. I appreciate you taking the time. Give me your Instagram and your Twitter again for people to go and follow you, all social media.
It's under Ashley R. Economou. It's under everything. Should I spell my last name again?
Now, I think people who are watching have seen it. I'll spell it for them. It's Economou. Go and follow her right now. Thanks a lot for coming on. Can we do it again?
Yes, totally. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Have a great day. We're back after this. Stay right here.